Welcome and happy Tuesday. You are live with It's All About Choices, a nutrition, fitness, and weight management academy with a holistic approach. And where you actually take the time and you make the decision to take action regarding your weight, your health goals, and I guide you through the best choices that are for you. And every Tuesday, I have the pleasure of dishing out your daily dose of nutrition wellness news for your mind, your body, and your soul. And I hope everybody had a wonderful Resurrection Sunday and Resurrection weekend. And I am happy that you all are tuning in live with me today. I'm glad you're taking a break just to hopefully de stress and you're eating, as well as those who take time to listen to the replay. I hope you all are. I thank you for taking time out to listen to the replay and just to pause and just to take a little time to take in some information that will hopefully transform you and advance you to your next level. And so we are starting a new training series about stress and stress eating. Very, very common. Why it happens and how to stop it, how to gain control over that. And this is really a mini series where you can learn more about mindful eating, specific strategies that will help you avoid overeating out of stress, boredom, anxiety, procrastination, overwhelm. It's a lot of different reasons that we overeat, and to avoid that unwanted weight gain, because that's generally what is a result, one of many things, but that is definitely one of the results of overeating. And so today we are talking specifically about 5 keys to manage stress eating and avoid the unwanted weight gain. And so usually the strongest food cravings, they kick in when you're at your weakest point emotionally. Usually that's when it happens. And then many of us, we turn to food for comfort, whether it's consciously, subconsciously. And then when we're facing a difficult problem or we're feeling stressed or even just bored, something to do. And so if you can relate to any of that, simply just post I relate if you are eating out of stress, out of boredom, at any time of the day. Okay, I got you covered today. So before I jump in too far, I am going to get my windows opened up. And so therefore, I encourage you to chime in. Tell me where you're tuning in from, and just simply, like I said, post relate if you can relate to any form. I mean, we call it different things. Some people call it stress eating. Some people call it emotional eating. Some people habitual eating. Whatever we want to call it, whatever we want to tag it, it's all kind of spawning from the same thing. So definitely say hello to me. And I think I see a few comments in here already. Hey, Janae, you definitely relate. Yes. Well, I mean, honestly, we all can. If we're really honest, we all have some level. You got the spectrum where some people will overeat and you got a few people that will undereat. But at some point, we end up tipping over the scale, either one way or the other. And so I got you covered on this. And so today and for a few more weeks, we're going to do this special mini series where it will help you to learn some specific strategies that will help you to avoid overeating out of stress. That's what it's all about, out of anxiety, out of boredom, and of course the results, weight gain, which leads to all host other kind of health conditions. And so we want to get to a point where we're redirected, where we're not going to food to the point that it becomes a detrimental effect on us. And so we call all this mindful eating. And so today we're going to learn how emotional eating can sabotage our overall health and to get tips on how to gain control over that, okay? Getting control over your eating habits. And so my name is Sandra Goldtree. For those who don't know me, I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm also a certified personal trainer, and I serve as my client's accountability partner. And so my goal is simply to help you to achieve your weight goals, your health, and eating in a way that where food works for you, so you feel better, you have more energy, so that working out, you doing it all pays off for you, and that you enjoy and you up for doing the things that you enjoy doing. And that's simply what I'm here for, to show a different way to make all that happen without feeling deprived and hungry. And in 2022, I've been talking a lot about breaking food strongholds, and that's really what it's all about. Breaking those food strongholds. So definitely, as I see people tuning in, say hello to me and chime in and just say your name and where you're tuning in from. And so for those who are coming in, we are talking about stress and stress eating. We're going to talk about that for a few weeks, how it happens, why it happens, and how to stop it. Today, specifically, 5 keys to manage your stress eating without and to avoid the unwanted weight gain. All right. And so I always like to do my little poll. And so we're going to do that today. And so I don't know if you guys remember, but when this pandemic started, maybe about 6 months into around 2020, where there was a joke on Facebook about wearing your mask, and not necessarily wearing your mask so you will not get COVID or to protect you from COVID. It was more so to stop you from eating. So do you guys remember that that joke that was coming out because people were home for the first time? Many people, they usually always go into the office, so now they're home all the time. They have quick access to the food and things of that nature. So it was like, wear your mask just so you can stop eating so much. So where are you in that situation? Do you still need to wear a mask, do you think? Or you didn't then, but you do now? Maybe, these seasons of stress eating is in waves. It doesn't always happen when it's this major worldwide crisis. It can happen at any time in our lives, right? Or do you have it under control? So where do you think you stand? You still need a mask, or you didn't when the pandemic first started, but maybe now you do? Or do you have it under control? Okay. If you got it under control, you are doing good. You're doing good. And so that's a little joke to kind of break the ice a little bit. And so let's jump in and definitely chime in. And so gaining control of emotional eating. So that's how we're going to begin. So emotional eating, we know on the surface, it can sabotage our weight loss efforts, our weight loss maintenance efforts, and in our health in general. And it often leads to eating too much, especially too much of high calorie, sweet and fat food. So that's generally what we're craving when we are in a stressful moment. And so the good news is that if you're prone to emotional eating, you can take steps to regain control over eating habits and to get you back on track with your goals, whether it's health goals, whether it's weight loss goals, or whether it's just maintaining where you are. And so what is emotional eating? So let's define what that is. And so emotional eating is eating in a way to suppress or to soothe negative emotions such as stress, anger, fear, boredom, sadness, loneliness, or it just subconscious habit. Okay. A lot of times it starts off very intentional, and I can speak to this for myself. It starts off very intentional, but then it happens for so long that it is habitual. Like you're just doing it and you don't even realize you're doing it. Okay. You're not always stressed, you're just doing it out of habit. And many of us are experiencing this prior to the pandemic. Okay. So, and definitely during the pandemic, because of all that uncertainty in that first year, we're stress eating even more. And so negative emotions can lead to emotional eating that tends to disrupt our weight loss and or even our weight maintenance efforts. Okay, so it will affect our health. It affects your blood pressure, it can affect your blood sugar, it can affect your cholesterol. So over time, these are the effects that will happen over time. Alrighty, and so let me see here. I think I see a few comments. It comes in waves for me, under control and out of control. Absolutely, Krista. Thank you for sharing that. And that is very common, very, very, very common. And so the key is trying to catch that wave when it happens. And so let's see here. We have a question up here that I have posted. So post getting better, gain has slowed, not yet, or in control. So we're now going into the second year of this pandemic. It began, which covered the 2020 through 2021. So now we're going, well, really it's going into year three, really. And so did you gain weight in that initial year? Say that you gain, but maybe you're getting better. Do you have control over your weight? Basically, the question is, where are you at with your weight? Do you have control of it? Or maybe you gained it, but now it's kind of plateaued. And so now we're trying to lose it. Kind of where are you in that department? Because I know many people have different waves of their gain. Okay, so I'm just looking for comments. And so let's go into the next topic here. And so let's see, what are some of the triggers? What are other triggers for emotional eating? Okay, so many of us experience emotional eating at one time or another. And it could show itself by eating a bag of chips when we're bored, or we're eating a chocolate bar because we had a difficult day at work. Make this analogy very personal to you. So substitute the foods that you know are your typical go-to foods when you are emotionally stressed, or you're stress eating or emotional eating. And so emotions such as stress is not the only trigger for emotional eating. Okay, that's the most common one, but it's not the only one. And so there's other triggers that come into the play that people also report, such as boredom. Okay, maybe you're just bored, you don't have anything else to do, and so the food is there. A habit. Okay, that's when we know we've been doing it for a while, when it's just no matter what's going on, it just happens. Fatigue. Okay, Being sleep deprived will kick on some emotional eating, some stress eating, or just like I said, eating just because. And then you have social influences. Okay, so everyone has that friend, has that family who encourages them. Hey, let's go out and get some pizza. You know, it's Friday. We had a rough week. We had a difficult week. Let's celebrate with food. And so I like to make the joke that friends and family can make you fat. So you got to be careful there, right? And so where do you stand in this situation? What is your trigger? What do you think your trigger is? Is it boredom that triggers you? Is it habit? Has it become a habit? Usually it doesn't start as a habit, of course, right? Where did it start for you? Did it start as stress? Did it start as boredom? Was it emotional? Was it overwhelmed? For me, overwhelmed was probably my biggest one. Fatigue, feeling, social influences. So, which ones do you think influences you the most? And I'm see here, gained is slowed. Good, good, good. So we got some people who are at least getting control over it, and so the gain is not still continuing. Okay, and so now let's go into 5 ways to handle. And I'll just look for those comments, and as I see them, then I'll chime in. So 5 ways to handle stress in unwanted weight gain. So this is where we're going to really dig a little deeper. So feel free to take notes and figure out which ones that you want to do for yourself. And so in order to get control of your emotional eating or your stress eating, you you have to the best way to deal with it is to address it on the situation heads on. So you want to deal with it head on. At the same time, you want to learn how to prepare yourself to handle the stressful situations in the future before it becomes a problem. So you want to learn how to get a handle on it. And so these are 5 ways that you can do that these are 5 ways that you can learn how to avoid the stress eating. And so when I mentioned before I get into the effective ways of dealing with stress and stress eating, know that it's personal. You got to be very personal about it. You got to be very intentional about it, because in order to begin the change process, we have to address the habitual habits, and we have to reassess to make sure what's working. We got to reassess to determine what those stressful situations are. So it's not a quick fix. It's not a one and done. And for some people, it's multiple things that they need to do over a period of time. But the key is not giving up. You may slip, but don't give up. And that's really the key. So number one is to know what your stressors are. Okay, that's number one. Know what your stressors are. So identify, pay attention to those circumstances, where your emotions are high, or you begin to stress eat, or you get that urge to want to stress eat. Maybe jot it down, but recognize the time of the day. Is it morning? Is it evening? Is it afternoon? Sometimes for some people, it's like a particular time of the day when they are feeling stress and they start to stress eat. So kind of start to identify that. Okay. And then another thing is you can exercise to reduce your stress. Okay. So if you're physically fit, you're more resistant. You tend to be more resistant to the effects of stress, but you still need to have a handle on it. So if you're not able to go to the gym, or you don't want to do structured workouts, then try to do walking, um, housework. Just try to do something to try to keep the body moving, because a lot of times when we're more sedentary and we're not really moving around, then that kind of makes the stress even more, it exacerbates it even more. Reach out for help. It's good to reach out for help. Talk to somebody about your feelings, and unhealthy about your feelings and unhealthy responses to stress with a close friend, somebody that can support you and help you. Because a lot of times we keep it balled up inside of us. That's stressful too, because we're shamed and we don't want anybody to know about it. And so we want to ensure that we are not holding that stuff in. And practice some mindfulness. Practice some mindfulness, and that's different for different people. Prayer will always get you through. That's definitely one. You can do meditation, you can do yoga, do something that is relaxing for you. But again, it's not an overnight fix. You have to continue to pray. You have to continue to seek that faith. You have to continue to do these things in order to get a handle on it. And then that'll help you to keep a more mindful, focused thought process. And so slowing down and paying attention to what and how you eat is a form of mindfulness. Okay. And I'll go into that a little bit more. And then learn some intuitive eating. Okay. So intuitive eating is when you're really paying attention to your internal hunger cues, or your hunger cues, your satiety cues, and eating because you really need to eat, versus, okay, it's just because it's there. And I'll talk more about that in a future live too. And so, what I want to ask, and I'm going to look, if I see some comments here, I'm going to ask this as well, is, where do you feel is a most realistic first step for you? Okay. Do you need to identify? Because a lot of times we have so much going on, we don't really know what it is that triggers us. We think everything triggers us, but it's usually something that kind of spawns it for the duration. So is it identifying it? Is it exercise? Is it seeking help? Like just talking about it to somebody that you know to get it out of you? Prayer, meditation, slowing down. Think of, so what are some things that is a most realistic first step for you? That's what we like to start. We see some exercise on here as a place we need to start. Boredom and habit. Yes. And so it started off as boredom. Thank you for sharing that. I think that was Janae. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. It usually starts as boredom, but then it happened over time, to where now it's habitual. And when it becomes habitual, I can speak to this too. The lines are just gray at that point. It's gray, and you really have to take an intentional effort to really reverse it. It is reversible, but you gotta really think about it. You gotta really do it. I found myself sometimes I have to just kind of really like talk at it. And it sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, Sandra, this is what you do. You stress eat, this is your pitfall, what's gonna happen. And so it's almost like, but nope, tonight I'm gonna do something different. Now, does that work every night? No, it doesn't. But at least you're going through that process of trying to work through it, because like I said, there's no quick fix, there's no one way. It's not going to happen in X days. Some days you're going to be strong, you're going to go to bed, you're going to feel good. I've woke up many mornings, oh, I'm so glad I did not overdo it the night before, because I wanted to and I could have. And then I've had many mornings where I woke up and like, man, I just went for broke. So, so give yourself some grace and realize that it's a process, but don't give up. Okay. And just to sum things up, emotional eating is real. So I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you. It is real, and it is not usually associated with physical hunger. It has nothing to do with physical hunger. I mean, how many of you all, and you can just say yes, have eaten just because you went hungry, you just ate, and you just did it just because. Physical hunger is different from emotional hunger. Physical hunger is usually not urgent or sudden, unless it's been a while since you ate. Then yes, it is. And what I spoke of on specifically, you want to gain control of that emotional eating. You want to identify the emotional triggers, your triggers, and then we had talked about those 5 ways of stress eating. And so some people succumb to the stressful eating on occasion, while some people find it where it's habitual, like it just happens all the time, or you can even feel the stress coming, and then it picks up on you, and it causes you to stress eat. But just know that there's a difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. Emotional hunger is usually we're just doing it just because. Okay, and so find the three, like I said, find one or two of the ways to manage, is what I'm trying to say. The ways to manage it, whether that's identifying it, getting help, talking about it, exercising. Try to find something to start the ball rolling, and that is huge, 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 to start the ball rolling. Okay, and so that is what we are going to end with today. And I will invite you to download a free 3-day meal plan. And so what this can do in this situation is, a lot of times our stress eating and our cravings happen because we are hungry and we don't realize it, or we're depriving ourselves, or we're over restricting and we don't even know it. And so this is a way to help combat that, or to at least give you an idea. And I'm gonna put this in the chat, or help give you an idea of at least, okay, how can you how can you I see some comments here. What do I need to eat, or what can I do to help feel more fulfilled throughout the day? And a lot of times that in itself will help you to combat falling so far. I like to say falling so far in the pits of being of stress eating. Okay, so I see some comments here, and I'm going to look at them. Let me back up here. I lost my window. Give me a second here. Let's see here. Let me go to this window, because I did see some comments. Let's see here. I see some people saying yes, exercise, boredom, and habit. Okay. And how you doing, Keisha? Thank you for tuning in. And so I thank you all for tuning in today. And this is, like I said, the first of many sessions that we're going to do over the next few weeks on stress and stress eating. If you did not get a chance to hear those 5 ways to try to help manage your stress, definitely listen to the replay. And I will see you next week, same time, same handle. And if you have any questions or any comments you want to say, feel free to put it in the thread and I will monitor that. All right. So I appreciate you tuning in, and you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Bye-bye.